You just became the world's first trillionaire. $1,000 billion sits in accounts with your name attached. That's more wealth than entire nations produce in a year, more than the richest dynasties accumulated across centuries. Spending $1 million every single day, you'd still have money in 2,700 years. The number doesn't feel real because it isn't real in any human sense. Your brain wasn't built to process this kind of magnitude, but here's what is real. The crowd gathering outside right now. You look out the window of your apartment. 40 stories down, the street is packed. News vans, cameras on tripods, people holding signs you can't quite read from this height. Some are just standing there, staring up, trying to figure out which window is yours. Your phone hasn't stopped vibrating in 3 hours. Texts from numbers you don't recognize, emails flooding in faster than they can load. A reporter somehow got your personal cell and called 6 times before you blocked it. Privacy just became a historical artifact of your old life. So you make a call, then another. By tomorrow morning, you have 12 armed security operators rotating in 8-hour shifts. These aren't mall cops. They're the kind of professionals who protect heads of state, trained for situations most people only see in movies. The team leader is former Secret Service. He walks through your apartment taking notes, pointing out vulnerabilities you never knew existed. The windows are a problem. The lobby is a problem. Your morning routine is a problem. Everything is a problem now. Within a week, you're not living in that apartment anymore. The new property sits behind walls you could land a helicopter on. 14 acres of controlled space with a guardhouse at the entrance, cameras covering every angle, motion sensors in the trees. The main house is so far from the gate that you'd need binoculars to see it from the road. $200 million. You signed the papers in a conference room and barely looked at the details because what's the point? The money replenishes itself faster than you can track it. Here's the part nobody mentions about extreme wealth. Your net worth grows while you sleep. Conservative investments, the boring kind that financial advisors recommend for retirement accounts, generate tens of millions daily. You wake up, check your phone, and you're richer than you were 8 hours ago. Every single morning, without doing anything. The compound requires staff, lots of staff. Housekeepers to manage rooms you'll never enter, groundskeepers maintaining landscaping you'll barely notice, 2 private chefs working in rotation because apparently 1 chef is insufficient for this tax bracket, a property manager overseeing people you'll never meet, security personnel monitoring systems you don't understand, an IT team just for the cameras and alarms, a personal assistant who has her own assistant because your schedule is now too complex for 1 person to coordinate. Within 30 days, 63 people work at your house. You are one of 64 humans on this property, and you're the only one who actually lives here. The spending begins in earnest because what else is there to do? You buy a Boeing 747, have the interior gutted, and hire designers to rebuild it as a flying residence. $400 million for a plane you'll use maybe twice a month. You acquire an island in the South Pacific, not a house on an island, the whole island. Then comes the yacht, custom built to specifications that require engineering innovations. Helicopter pad, submarine bay, a medical facility that rivals small hospitals, a cinema with better equipment than most theaters. $600 million floating on water. Your accountant sends quarterly reports that read like fiction. But you want coffee one morning. Just Coffee, the place you've been going to for years, where they know your order, where you used to sit by the window and work on your laptop. Simple, normal. Except your security team needs 45 minutes advance notice. They have to sweep the location, establish perimeter protocols, coordinate with local law enforcement. You finally make it there, walk through the door, and every conversation stops. The barista's hands shake while making your drink. Someone in the corner has their phone pointed at you, recording. You get your coffee. It tastes identical to how it always tasted. Everything around it has changed. You stop going. Not because you don't want the coffee, because you don't want to be the reason everyone else's morning gets disrupted. Your presence has become an event, and events require management, and management requires advanced planning, and suddenly getting coffee needs a tactical briefing. So you try philanthropy instead. $500 million to disaster relief. The check clears on a Tuesday. The media covers it for approximately 18 hours, then moves on because relative to your total wealth, $500 million is what you generate in a slow week. People thank you for a day. Then they want more. The requests never stop coming. Foundations, universities, political campaigns, medical research, environmental initiatives, arts programs, individuals with sick relatives, strangers with business ideas. Everyone wants a meeting. Everyone has a proposal. Everyone needs just a few minutes of your time and a small fraction of your resources. The phone calls change, too. Your friends from before, the ones who knew you when your biggest financial concern was making rent, start disappearing. Some stop calling entirely. The ones who still reach out sound different, careful, like they're editing themselves in real time, measuring each word before releasing it into the conversation. You invite your college roommate to visit. He agrees before you finish the sentence, flies in on a Friday, stays through the weekend, compliments absolutely everything. The house, the wine, the guest suite with better amenities than most hotels, the view, the food, the weather. He laughs at things that aren't funny, agrees with every opinion you express, never pushes back on anything. This is the guy who used to argue with you about movies for 2 hours straight. That was the entire foundation of the friendship. Now he's nodding along to everything you say like you're his boss instead of his friend. You realize halfway through Sunday dinner that the friendship already ended. You just haven't acknowledged it yet. Then the lawsuits start arriving. 17 in the first 6 months. An old business partner you barely remember claims you shortchanged him on a deal from 9 years back. A woman in Arizona insists you verbally promised her $10 million at a fundraiser you never attended. You've never been to Arizona. Your legal team reviews each filing, uses the word frivolous so frequently it loses meaning. But frivolous doesn't mean free. Each case costs 6 figures minimum to defend. Each one generates headlines. Each one demands depositions, filings, statements, settlement negotiations. Your lawyers explain this is permanent now. When you possess $1 trillion, the legal system becomes a hunting ground. You are the largest target in human history. You settle 3 cases, not because they have merit, because the cost of fighting them publicly exceeds the settlement amount. $1 million here, $2 million there. Accounting errors, but every settlement gets reported and every report triggers 5 new lawsuits. Your legal budget crosses $40 million for the year. An entire floor of attorneys works exclusively on your cases. You've never met most of them. They send weekly summaries, pages documenting strangers willing to commit perjury for a chance at your money. Meanwhile, something resembling normal life continues. Then you meet someone. She's sharp, funny in a way that catches you off guard. Doesn't mention the wealth once during the first conversation. You see her again. And again. 3 weeks in, it feels different. Real, maybe. Then small details emerge. She mentions your island during a conversation you definitely never had with her. She knows your pilot's first name, knows which car you prefer for city driving. Tiny things, things that confirm she researched you before you ever spoke, which, of course, she did. Everyone does now. But knowing that plants a question you can't remove. Does she like you or does she like access to this? The compound, the jet, the life she'd never touch otherwise. Once that question embeds itself, it contaminates everything. You watch her differently now, measure her reactions, search for tells. So you stop calling. She texts twice, then silence. 2 weeks later, a tabloid runs the story. Photos of you at dinner, photos of her leaving the compound. A quote from an anonymous source close to the couple. Neither of you sold it, someone at the restaurant did. A server or valet who saw an opportunity and made a phone call. Now her name is everywhere, her face, her job, her apartment address. Strangers flood her messages, some threatening. She had a private life before you, anonymous, normal. You erased it by sitting across from her at dinner. Your PR team drafts statements, your lawyers send cease and desist letters to the publication. None of it puts her anonymity back. You send an apology, she reads it, doesn't respond. The leaks continue. Somebody from your past sells a story. Private conversations, old photos from university, texts from when you were 24 and didn't consider consequences. A joke you made at a party in 2011 that, stripped of all context and printed in a headline, makes you unrecognizable. It spreads within 48 hours. People who've never met you form opinions based on something you said in a dorm room 15 years ago. Your crisis team mobilizes. Their advice never changes. Don't respond. Responding amplifies everything. So you sit behind 7 screens and watch someone monetize your history for approximately $250,000. That's the market value of your past to someone who used to be close. You can't confront them. Can't even confirm you know who did it because that becomes another story. You just watch it happen. Your mother calls Sunday morning, sounds exactly like she always does, asks if you're eating properly, mentions a bird invading her garden. For 10 minutes, your shoulders relax and you nearly forget what your existence has become. Then she brings up your brother. He didn't ask her to call. Never would. But he's behind on his mortgage and his vehicle needs repairs and you have more money than entire nations and he's family. You had no idea he was struggling. You transfer several million that afternoon. He doesn't call to acknowledge it. 3 months later, holiday dinner. You flew everyone in on the 747. He sits at the opposite end of the table. Talks to your cousins, your aunt, anyone except you. When you try making eye contact, he studies his plate. Leaves before dessert. No goodbye. A week later, your mom calls again. Different tone. Quiet. Your brother told your cousin you destroyed the family, that everything changed when the money arrived. She's not choosing sides. She's telling you because she doesn't know what else to do. She has a security detail she never requested. One son who won't speak to his brother, a family that once fit around a kitchen table and now requires catering staff and a private jet just to occupy the same room. You promised to talk to him. You don't. What would you say? You can't reverse the transfer, can't unmake the jet, can't visit his house without armed personnel in the driveway. The distance between your lives isn't closable through conversation. So you stop attempting it. The compound continues operating. 63 employees maintain the machine. You find strange comfort in their routines. Then your head of security requests another meeting. Someone on staff has been leaking information to tabloids. Nothing dangerous, just consistent and compensated. Your team traced it through photo metadata. The angle matched a specific east wing window. Only 3 staff members accessed that corridor. They identified her in 2 days. Linda, the housekeeper. Wednesday morning, she's escorted out. Your security handles it. You watch from the 2nd floor. She carries a cardboard box. Doesn't look up. A suited man walks her to the gate. Another opens it. She enters a car summoned for her. The gate closes. You stand at the window long after she's gone. The East Wing hallway sits empty. Her replacement starts Friday. There's always something next. Tuesday afternoon, you take the yacht out. The ocean is so blue it looks artificial. Sunset paints everything gold. Dinner is pan-seared Dover sole prepared by a chef who trained a decade in Michelin-starred kitchens. The table is set for 1. You return to the compound and retire early. The master suite is larger than your old apartment. You lie there. The ceiling is very white. Around 3 in the morning, you're awake. You get up. The compound is completely silent, the theater room empty, 60 seats, the screen dark, the library empty. You walk the main hallway. The only sound is faint mechanical humming. The security camera at the corridor's end adjusting, tracking your movement. You stop, it stops. You take a step, it follows. You go outside. The grass is wet, cold under your feet. You walk to the middle of the lawn. The sky is the same sky you looked at when you were broke. Same stars, same depth, same silence. You used to lie on the roof deck of your old apartment building and stare at it for hours. The rent was late, and you didn't care. The stars haven't moved. Everything underneath them has. You stand on the lawn until the cold penetrates your bones, then you go inside. You go back to bed. After a week in Italy, you arrive home. Your assistant meets you on the tarmac. She asks how the trip was. Great. You tell her back to the compound, through the gate, past the guardhouse, past the pool you've used 3 times, past the tennis court you've never touched, past the wine cellar with bottles costing more than most people's monthly rent. Into your office where 7 screens display your portfolio, your companies, your calendar, and a news ticker that mentions your name twice in the first 30 seconds. You sit down. Outside, security does a shift change. New faces replace the old ones. The groundskeeper rides the mower across the lawn. 63 people work here. You are the only one who lives here.